Welcome to the Kind of Nerdy Girls podcast. Fandom, fun, funny.
Oh, we need a fun fact. Do you have any ideas for fun facts, Jana?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
What a fun fact for me is a name that trips you up whenever you read it.
Okay.
Because when I watch Family Guy and they're doing the credits, the guy's name is Wellesley, and I always say it Wellesley, and I'm like, what?
Okay. All right. Well, my name is KJ, and I guess the character, if I had to say like my ultimate fail, would definitely be Hermione. I didn't know how to pronounce Hermione from Harry Potter, and so I went and looked because I was like, her name can't be like Hermione. So I'm really glad that I went and looked that up. So that's the only character I could think of. And I'm sitting here with my Gryffindor cup. So we are the Kind of Nerdy Girls. I'm going to introduce our team here today. Producer Jana, as you know, is always checking in with us about what's got Jana weeping. She loves a good Hallmark movie, and she'll also, cry over the latest Netflix reality show, which most people aren't crying over.
It's true. Very sensitive.
And also joining us today, very excited to welcome to the show, April Wright, who is a filmmaker who has made a film that we are so excited about here at the Kind of Nerdy Girls. And we are so grateful that the Heartland Film Festival, despite everything that's going on with COVID, has found a way to continue to have their festival this year. April, I'm really excited that Stunt Women is going to be a part of the Heartland Film Festival with us starting next week, and excited to talk with you about how, I guess to begin with, how this film came about, how you became so passionate that you wanted to share the story of these women.
Well, first I want to say I'm very excited to be part of the Heartland Film Festival too. I'm from the Midwest, from the Chicago area, and I was at the festival last year. I have my 3 documentaries here behind me. I made one about drive-in movie theaters, was the first one. The second was about movie palaces, and we screened at the Historic Art Craft Theater in Franklin last year as part of the Heartland Festival, and it was awesome.
Oh, that's a beautiful theater.
Oh, it was gorgeous. And this year they invited me with Stunt Women, and I wish I could be there in person because it's playing on the 16th at the Tibbs Drive-In, so yes. I cannot be more excited to know that that's how they're going to be screening it, and that people will be able to go out to the drive-in and see Stunt Women. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to be part of the Heartland Film Festival, especially with this film and the drive-in combo. So how did I make Stunt Women? It does tie into those other films that I had already made, a couple films that covered the history of cinema from different angles, different points of view. And so Stunt Women was a similar film. It was made based on a book of the same name called Stunt Women, The Untold Hollywood Story by an author named Molly Gregory. And a couple of the producers on the film I knew, and they had optioned the book, and they told me they wanted to make it into a documentary. And so I had the right experience doing, historic cinema topics and understanding how to deal with, footage and clips from films and all that. And I had also, I knew one stunt woman, and I had just met another stunt woman, and we wanted to work on a project together. And I also had a female director of photography that was known for doing, big documentaries, including one that had won an Oscar. And we wanted to work on something together. So it just kind of everything culminated that this was the film to make. And then we made it.
Well, and it's interesting that you touched on there about, the footage, because immediately when I started watching, and it's that iconic scene of Wonder Woman busting through with her shield and just looking so badass. And immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, like how'd they get the footage of that? That had to have been a bit of a process to bring in all of the actual footage, right?
Yeah, and it did take, I mean, a lot of the things that we covered in the film were in the book, so I knew, you know, that there were stunt women doing certain scenes and who they were because they had been identified for the book. But the book went up to about 2007, so then I had to bring it into the present day. And so for all the clips that you see in the film, they're all clips where we, you know, pretty much verified that things were being done by stunt women, even if it's a mix of the actor and the stunt person. And we wanted to take some of those things that, you know, if you're a film lover, like the helicopter in True Lies that pulls Jamie Lee Curtis out of the limo, and, you know, and the motorcycle in Matrix, and some of the driving done in the Fast and Furious movies. And, you know, we just tried to have a lot of things that people knew from their favorite films, and that we would show you who was really doing the stunt behind the scenes.
Well, we are very excited. We're actually going to do our podcast live from Tibbs Drive-In for Stunt Women. So we're going to be there that night.
So fun! I wish I could be there.
I know.
I wish there was no COVID and that I could be there.
I know. We, before COVID, we were very active, and we love being out and doing events, and we would do movie nights and we would do gaming nights. And, you know, we haven't been able to do that, you know, since February. And so in working with Tibbs Drive-In, which is such a, I mean, they're such an iconic location. They just have, you know, they're so amazing at what they do.
And I've been there a couple times, and I would say that is one of maybe the only nice side effects of COVID is the fact that drive-ins are getting attention again.
Yes.
and they're still having a hard time because they're at reduced capacity and there's not many new movies coming out. But hopefully once this ends, people remember and keep going to the drive-ins. So
well,
and side effect.
Yeah, and I hope that, you know, some of these film fests, you know, like Heartland, that have embraced the drive-in, that they're going to bring people into it that maybe have never had the experience, because we've always made it a tradition to go to Tibbs here in Indianapolis and, you know, see those movies. It's just a different feel when you're, you know, I mean, it might not be as cool as far as the technology and the effects and everything, but there's just something about
it's more of an experience.
Yes. Yes.
It's a whole experience.
Absolutely. How many drive-ins did you visit when you were doing the documentary on the drive-ins?
I wanted to tell the whole story, and I traveled the whole country multiple times driving, not to airport cities, but little town to little town to little town. And I ended up going to every state, including I went to Hawaii because I was going there for another film festival, and
wow,
we went to driving there on Oahu. And the only state I did not get to is Alaska, not because they didn't have drive-ins, they did, but I just haven't made it there yet. And so in my traveling, I have been to over 500 drive-in locations, which includes either open drive-ins, abandoned drive-ins, remnants and remains of drive-ins, and sometimes the former site to see what's there today. What did they tear down the drive-in and what did they build and what's there now instead? So yeah, I've been to over 500, and that was just making the film, and since traveling with the film, and since then I've been to a lot more. So I'm sure I've been to more drive-ins than anybody.
That's amazing.
That's a weird side effect of making that documentary.
You might have set a world record or something. You don't know.
I probably did. I actually did look into that with Guinness. Like, I'm sure I've been to more drive-ins than anybody, and they were like, we don't really have a record on that. And I was like, okay, I don't know.
Well, then you're like, well, I set the record then, so I win.
Well, and there are people I know who I see online who are really into drive-ins, who are so I kind of know how many they've been to, and I spent so much time doing it, like literally months at a time. It would be really hard for somebody to catch me.
I feel like that's a challenge, right? Like
they would have to spend a very long time.
Is there a particular movie, like maybe a classic or that you haven't seen at the drive-in that you would absolutely love or think would make the experience even better to see it?
Oh, like marrying my favorite films? Well, I would have to go to Carrie would probably be one, or Rosemary's Baby, because anytime a horror thriller, when you're at a drive-in, you have this extra layer of being unprotected in a way, being outside that can sometimes make it scarier. And even if you have a weather thing happening at a drive-in, people, have talked about watching Twister at a drive-in, which has a drive-in scene. And if there's a little storm on the horizon, then it's like a 4D movie. So yeah, I would have to go for something like that. It's just, some of my favorite horror and thriller films I would love to see at a drive-in.
You like to be scared. I'm completely opposite. I'm like, man, Carrie is not a movie I'm ever watching at the drive-in.
Those are ones I've never seen. I mean, obviously some of the more recent, superhero movies and stuff I have seen at the drive-in. So
has making this movie, Stunt Women, changed the way you watch movies? Are you watching Black Widow and trying to figure out when Scarlett's doing things and when the double is?
Somewhat. I mean, I'm a film person, so I've always paid attention to films. I've always been aware that there were stunt people, and there had been certain films, where people just kind of know, oh, there you can see the switch, you can see that's a man doubling a woman, you can, whatever. So I've been aware of that. Honestly, what I do now is if I see a good stunt performance, I'm like, oh, who did stunts in this movie? And I'll look up who's the stunt team and who are the stunt performers to see if I know any of them, because I do know a lot of them now at this point. So I kind of do that. Who did that stunt? Let me look up who did that stunt. I still enjoy them as a movie goer. It's the same thing as being a filmmaker. Once you know how films are made, or once you understand story structure, are you analyzing that? And to some degree I am, but usually only if a movie is bad, then I'll start doing that. If it's good and I'm caught up in it, then I don't think about it at all.
Yeah. Was there anything when you were looking into this, any stunts that really blew your mind that maybe you thought it was CGI or just not humanly possible to do what they did? Well,
none that I specifically had in mind like that, but some of the things I learned that were pretty cool. One, you think of stunt women as being well, you don't realize they're pro athletes. First off, they're physical, but when you realize what goes into it, all the training that they put in, and the background that a lot of them have as gymnasts or whatever it might be before they get into stunts, they really are professional athletes that train and deliver and can, do a performance, land on their mark, and they are professional athletes just like any other professional athlete. That's number one. Number two, I also didn't realize just they're incredibly smart, because, sometimes there's brain versus brawn idea. And for stunt people, and again, with a professional athlete, they're not just dealing with their physicality, but when they're performing a stunt, they're doing all the math related to it. Like, I need to move this way, I need to land here, this is going to go this far. If the wind's blowing, that's going to alter it slightly. And they're calculating all that, and then they're also, doing it as they're performing. If something happens that, unusual, if a special effect goes off early or late or whatever might happen, they're doing those adjustments, and they have all these exit strategies in their head. If something goes wrong on the stunt, how can I safely still complete it and land in a superhero pose? Or how can I get out of it? How can I, help myself and the crew and the people around? So there's a incredible amount of mental, calculations that they're doing, which is the other piece that's really amazing. And then the CG thing was the other thing that was interesting. We actually talked to everybody about that, and we have a little bit of it shown in the film. We could have had a whole section on it, but what it came down to was when CG got better, people were thinking it would completely replace stunt performers and possibly at some point replace actors, because they can put, faces on.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. And the reason why is because people can sense a human. And when it's just CG, the movement is off. There's something in our physiology or whatever that, you know, even though we may not be conscious of it, we can sense it's not a human. And so therefore, if we're watching a character fight or run or whatever they're doing, we can tell it's not real. So we don't have the emotions that they want you to have to be scared or whatever, you know, excited as you're watching the movie. So it takes our emotions out of it. So what they have been doing mostly in recent years actually involves stunt people, that they'll have a stunt person perform it first before the CG. So whether they're, you know, on a green screen, on wires or whatever it is, if there's a character fighting with a sword, if there's somebody flipping, if there, you know, whatever that motion is, and it does apply to a lot of comic book movies, there's a human doing that. Even if the human, you know, later gets a lot of CG or even adds or enhances, or even if they become an alien or some other kind of creature that the CG is on. A lot of times now that's stunt people doing it in the beginning, then they CG it and add it, and then they add the actor's performance to it down the road. And it also applies to video games. A lot of the movement in video games, there are stunt people doing all that first, and then they build all the CG around it. And I didn't realize that. So they're really on the front end, very integral to CG right now at this point.
Very cool. I love this. I'm so excited. I didn't watch all because I got a screener. I didn't watch all of it because I was so.
Oh, I did.
Did you?
I did. I watched the whole thing.
I was like, well, actually, John, I was like, I want to watch this with everybody else, right? Like, so
oh my
gosh. Well, then, Jonna, you can give me. Do you have any questions or anything that you want to add before April goes?
Not really questions.
I did the first 20 minutes and I was like, I'm loving this so much. I really want to watch it on the big screen.
No.
Well, it was really fun to make, and especially for me, making a documentary, sometimes you might think of documentaries as being educational or boring. And it is educational, but it is not boring.
No.
We called it, I don't know if I made up this mashed up genre, but we've been calling it an action documentary. And that was kind of the goal and the fact that I got to shoot a drift car sequence for a documentary with Michelle Rodriguez in the car with the woman who does all her driving on all the Fast and Furious movies. You know, there was nothing more fun than that. We had a blast that day. You can tell Michelle had a blast doing that part. And we got to shoot a lot of really cool, you know, somebody got set on fire, you know, we did it all.
It's so funny. It's like, somebody got set on fire. Like, this is what they do for a living. It's so crazy.
What they do. Well, we had to show what they do and how they, you know, what they do in their spare time. They train and they do this stuff. So we're showing how it really is.
Well, and
they're fantastic.
Aren't they? I mean,
fantastic.
As someone that, you know, grew up with the comic books and, you know, loving these superheroes and, you know, and I mean, just Star Wars and everything. I'm just, you know, I'm just a nerd junkie, you know, seeing what they've done. Now, taking it from, especially like, you know, Marvel and what, you know, DC's done with Wonder Woman and putting it on the big screen. I'm fascinated by the fact that they can really bring this to life because I don't, you know, until we got to this point, I don't know that those Marvel movies could have been what they are without the people who behind it who were able to do the stunts and do the CGI and build it all together.
I mean, it just kind of adds a layer to that fandom and that appreciation, you know, because, you know, like you said, you've read the comics, you can see the movies, you can see the actors that are portraying them. And now you're going to see some of the women that create the other side of that character that you're watching on screen that, you know, you had no idea was doing it. So that's pretty cool. I do have a little trivia that isn't shown in the film. When we're interviewing Heidi and Renee Moneymaker, we actually were at the Marvel Studios down at Pinewood in Atlanta, Georgia. And Heidi was doubling Scarlett Johansson on Avengers Endgame, and her sister Renee was doing Ant-Man and the Wasp as Evangeline Lilly. And so we pulled them off both of their sets to come into another sound stage where they had put us on. And we were on the soundstage with the whole Guardians of the Galaxy ship, which is in the background behind our interview that we couldn't really show, but it's there in the background. So we did get to go to the Marvel set and get these two amazing stunt women that were working on a couple Marvel films at the time. And that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So cool. Oh,
I want your job.
Can we make a Stunt Women too, and we can go with you?
and I did know a spoiler, which
I'll be your intern.
I did know a spoiler, which I didn't know at the time, because they did have Tilda Swinton was there, and she was talking about just doing a scene with Mark Ruffalo, and I mentioned that to my brother, which I probably shouldn't, because he was like, wait, she's dead, and blah, blah. I mean, so everybody knows what happened in Avengers Endgame, but yeah, I did see a couple things while I was there.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I couldn't tell anybody, because they would have been spoilers, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, April, we're really excited to be with the Heartland Film Festival at Tibbs Drive-In on October 16th for the screening of Stunt Women. Thank you so much for joining us. If someone's listening and they're not here in Indy, they can't make it, how will they be able to see this movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, go out to Tibbs and see it on the 16th if you can. If not, it is available on digital VOD, so you have to rent it or buy it, but it's on everywhere, Google Play, iTunes, everything like that. So, but it is a different experience. Obviously, watching it at home will be great. Seeing it on the big drive-in screen will be really great. Yes. And I should also say my other documentary, this one here in the middle, Going Attractions, The Definitive Story of the Movie Palace, which played at Heartland last year, is also coming out on VOD and DVD on October 20th, 2 weeks from today. So if you like one and you like movie history, you might like both of them.
Oh, great. Well, April, we're excited that we had you on the show. We're excited for the screening, and you are definitely one of us. So anytime you've got a project going on, or you just want to, talk kind of nerdy, or you see that next Marvel movie and you're like, I need someone to talk to about this, we're your girls.
Are we nerdy though, aren't we cool? Right?
Yes. We're
That's
cool.
how I look at it.
Yeah.
Actually, we just put out a new T-shirt that says "Kind of nerdy before it was cool." Because now, like growing up, nobody thought I was cool that I was reading Captain America comic books, right? And now, my nieces and nephews get to run around and pretend they're the Avengers. And I was like, where was this when I was little?
Yeah, I used to read Fantastic Four comics. That was my favorite because they had a girl.
Oh, yes. Well, April, we just adopted a cat and named him Johnny Storm. And I tell you, it's the best name for a kitten. He's a Flame Point Siamese, and he runs around the house, and I just say, flame on, buddy. All right. Well, hopefully next year, Heartland Film Festival, we'll be able to get together and we'll see you in person. But we'll be thinking about you and cheering you on as we're watching Stunt Women on the big screen, April.
I might watch it again, honestly. It was really good.
I
might come to Tibbs to watch it again, honestly. It was really, really good. It was so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We're going to bring Julia in now. We just wrapped up talking with April Wright from Stunt Women. I mean, this is just one of the amazing movies that is going to be a part of the Heartland Film Festival. And I know that you and your crew have been working very hard in this, new environment to allow for the virtual space for people who still want to experience all the amazing films of Heartland Film Festival. And then also, with Tibbs and some of the ability to kind of be in person together at the drive-in. What all do you have planned, the dates that things are running, and how we can be a part of all of it?
Yeah, so this year we kind of had to pivot because of the pandemic, like everybody else. So we are doing a virtual and drive-in hybrid. So if you live in Indianapolis, you can come attend the drive-ins. And then for the virtual festival, you can live anywhere in the world to experience the films that we have. On our virtual festival, we have 75 total films throughout the entire festival. 22 of those are premieres, world premieres and US premieres. And then we have those 29 drive-in screenings. You can experience the entire run, which is October 8th through the 18th.
Obviously, we would prefer, especially, being here in Indianapolis and attending the Heartland Film Festival year after year, to be able to attend it the way we're used to. But I also think it's neat that you're able to introduce anybody anywhere in the world to what the Heartland Film Festival does, because I'm going to brag because we're from here, but it's such an amazing film festival. And I don't think that people realize it is recognized with filmmakers as one of the top film festivals in the world. So, being able to kind of showcase what you do to other people. And, I hope that means that next year more people are coming to Indianapolis and experiencing what you guys do, because it is top notch. Can you talk a little bit about, so our audience is part of the reason we were talking about Stunt Women. We're super into the superhero movies and the sci-fi. Now, Jana will eat up Hallmark movies. She does a segment called What's Got Jana Weeping, and I know there are plenty of movies in the Heartland Film Festival that would fit into that. Can you kind of give us a snapshot of some of the movies that you have that maybe kind of fall into that our audience might want to watch either in person at Tibbs or virtually?
Yeah, we have a wide variety of films, and that's kind of fits our theme. Our theme this year is the full spectrum of films. So we have a wide variety of film genres and stories and perspectives represented from around the world. So we have films from the United States, we have films from Peru, South Korea, and then all different genres. Like we have romantic comedies, we have horror films as well. We have a new horror slate this year, which we're really excited about.
Oh, nice. Have you done that before? That's new.
Yeah, this is our first year doing Heartland Horror. So we decided last year to start it this year with our Indie Shorts Festival and then with the Heartland Film Festival. Horror is a genre that Heartland has not really explored yet, but horror films, they don't always get a reputation for, I guess, I don't know the right way to put it. Horror films can still have a message. They can still, they address especially recently addressing more themes, dealing with, representing what's going on in the world right now. So they can be more than slasher flicks.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. It had to be interesting to go find horror films with a heart.
And that's kind of what that was our idea. So we have a wide variety we have about 5 horror films that we're playing a couple at the drive-in. One of them is called Host. And it is the first horror movie and probably one of the first movies, period, to be shot entirely on Zoom. And it takes place in a Zoom chat. They have a seance and then stuff goes wrong. So that will be at the drive-in.
Oh my gosh. You're going to make us never want to Zoom again.
So we have horror films, we have romantic comedies, we have, even some of the documentaries will make you cry as well. So
I almost cried watching Stunt Women, so it's totally fine.
Now, did you see the other movie that we're going to be seeing at Tibbs with the Kind of Nerdy Girls, Kind of Nerdy Night Out is Stardust, which is the David Bowie film. Have you had a chance to see that one?
Yeah, it's a different kind of biopic. It's not like other biopics you might have seen. So I kind of like the unique take that they do, but it stars Johnny Flynn, who's this actor singer from the UK, and he's kind of up and coming. He's definitely someone to watch. He most recently was in the new Emma adaptation, the Jane Austen movie. He played Mr. Knightley. He was really, really great in that. So I was excited to see that he plays a young David Bowie in this movie. So it's an interesting background about how when David Bowie came to the US in the 1970s, that inspired his alter ego, Ziggy Stardust. So if you're a David Bowie music fan, definitely check that out.
You can get more information at heartlandfilmfestival.org. Thank you so much, Julia.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You ready to go to the Heartland Film Festival?
I am, actually. I've never been to a film festival before, so...
You know what you would love, and especially this one you would love, because, it is even though it's called Heartland Film Festival because it's in the Heartland, you know.
No way.
It also is, which is why I was giggling about the horror movie thing. Their thing is about, you know, it moving motion pictures like that bring emotion and have heart. And I'm like, man, I want to know about these horror movies that are going to make me really have the feels.
Horror with heart. Let's see how that goes.
So you really love the Stunt Women movie?
Oh my God, it was so good. I was literally sitting in the tattoo shop with my sister, like watching it, and I was like, "This is great."
You were watching it at a tattoo shop?
Yeah.
Did you get a tattoo or did she?
Yeah.
You got a tattoo?
I got a little semicolon.
Oh, now what was the significance of that?
Well, it's a thing for like people who have like really bad depression and anxiety to remind them that like a semicolon in a sentence means that the sentence doesn't stop. It keeps going even after the semicolon is there. Even though you stop at a semicolon, it keeps going.
Okay.
So
that's very deep.
It is very deep.
I didn't know that. So that's a thing that people will get to kind of remind them. Oh,
yeah. A lot of my friends have them. My sister has one. Like it's been around for a few years, and I just now have gotten to a tattoo shop to get one.
Very cool. So it didn't take very long then, right?
It literally took 3. He drew it on and then he colored it in. So it took 3 minutes tops.
Wow. Did it hurt?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
It's already starting to itch though. And I'm like, no, that's the worst part. The worst part when you get it is when it starts itching because you can't directly scratch it. So you kind of have to rub like around it a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And this one is so little. So I'm just like, oh no.
Anything else kind of nerdy before we go? I don't watch a lot of documentaries, but this Stunt Women one, I was like, hang on a second. I want to watch this on the big screen. I really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably go say hey to my nephew at his birthday party and then like head over to Tibbs.
Oh, that's right, because you had the birthday party, so you weren't gonna.
Yeah, but it's just like a bunch of 8-year-olds in a hotel room.
Yeah, they don't care if you're there.
Yeah, and I'll see him on his actual birthday too. So I'll just be like, hey man, I'm not gonna be able to make it to your party. I'm gonna be watching movies. Yeah. Because I haven't been to a movie theater or seen a movie like on a big screen in months, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Jonesing for one. I was like, I just want to see a movie.
I know. I'm excited. Even if you just pull up next to me and we wave to each other through our car windows, like we're together and we're watching a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But Blackfish is about whales and like the whales at SeaWorld, basically. Like more than like mostly about the whales at SeaWorld and SeaWorld affiliates.
Oh no.
Like I don't think that you would like it. Because it's all about how the whales are like in captivity and how they've like one whale in particular has killed like 2 trainers.
Crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it because I'm not like I'm an expert, like I know, but like I know that stuff's going on, right? So I don't want like it, I can't. It's too close to my heart for me.
Yeah.
I just can't watch it. I'm like, yeah, I know, and it needs to change. Can we just back?
After watching that, I was like, wow, this is intense because they were making some really good points. They're like, yeah, if you were held in captivity, like, wouldn't you go insane too? I'm like, yeah, probably, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I get it. I mean, and then, they think that taking all these different whales and putting them all together means they're all going to mesh. And I'm like, just because you put people that are basically the same together doesn't mean that they're going to get along.
Have you seen America lately?
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. So yeah, but it was really good. I didn't want to watch it at first, but I was at my friend's house and he was like, let's watch this. And I was like, okay. But it was really good. So, I mean, I know you and Patches probably won't watch it because you guys can't like stomach
we can't do the animal stuff. No.
Yeah. But anyone else out there, watch Blackfish. It's great.
All right. And Stunt Women. If you're not going to come, I hope you'll come to our kind of nerdy night out. It's October 16th, Tibbs Drive-In. If you're in Indianapolis, would love for you to join us. We're going to put that reminds me, I got to put an RSVP up in the kind of nerdy network because they're going to give us 20 spots that we can reserve. Now they're not free. When you get there, you can pay your entrance fee, but it'll be 20 spots so that we're all together. So that if you definitely want to be with the Kind of Nerdy crew, that you will have, you'll have something from us that says, I get to park over there in that section. So
I'm with those nerds over there.
I'm with those up in the front, the nerds. You see those people over there that no one's around them? Yeah, the nerds. I'm with them.
Oh, wait, in Stunt Women, you're only like 20 minutes in, so you didn't even get that far into it where they start talking about like people who actually get hurt on the job.
No.
Oh, man.
Not there yet.
There's this one, there's one, and it literally talks about this woman in Back to the Future 2, where they're on hoverboards, and one of the stunt women actually gets hurt doing the stunt, because it's that scene where they're like on the hoverboards on the water. Or whatever, and then they like crash, and then they fly into the building. The stunt woman actually hit that pillar.
Oh,
and,
no.
Yeah. So like you think that's supposed to be, and it wasn't supposed to be like that. Like she was supposed to miss it, and she hit it, so she had to be hospitalized. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's crazy. Like I was watching it, and they were talking about all the people who got hurt because like just one thing, like one incy-wincy thing went wrong. Someone missed a cue, or someone just didn't do something correctly just a little bit, and then these people are in the hospital paralyzed. And
well, we appreciate what they do, man. I mean, I do. I watch this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the actress doing it or the stunt person, but I still can't believe they're doing that. I mean, I'm constantly amazed. I'm such a wimp. I would be like,
oh yeah, no. I was watching it. I was like, I would never be able to do that. And then when she was talking about it, like how they have to do all this mental calculation, I was like, I would be dead right now if I was a stunt person, because all that mental calculation, I wouldn't be able to do it. No. Like right on the spot like that, I couldn't do it.
No, to think that fast, and it's a matter of your life and your well-being, because you've got to get all of this right. I'm stressed just thinking about it.
I know, and we don't even have to do that. Like, we to be cozy on our Zoom calls.
Exactly. There's no way I'm watching that movie about the Zoom calls gone wrong with us.
It kind of sounds like that movie. What's that movie? I think it was like Unfriended. Is it Unfriended? Or something like that, where all the kids are like, it's basically filmed on like a MacBook screen.
Okay.
And all the kids are like, they're like teenagers, and they're like basically like FaceTiming each other. And there's like some girl who dies or something like at the school, but they bullied her or something like that. And so the whole thing takes place, and you can see these people like basically getting killed one by one in their homes from their cameras on their computers.
Oh God.
It was honestly, it was a terrible movie. Like I watched it. It wasn't even that scary. It was terrible.
Well, and then when she was talking about the seance, I'm imagining like Kitsy's going to be like, oh, we totally need to do that. Let's do a seance over Zoom.
Pass. Let me exit immediately. Thank you.
There are a lot of creepy things that like don't bother me. I mean, like ghosts and hearing voices and ghost cats visiting. I'm good with all of that. But there are certain things like from my childhood, like the Ouija board. Ooh. I'm like, no, I cannot. I can't. It still creeps me out. We used to try to do seances when I was little, and I won't, I'm not going to say Bloody Mary in the mirror. Like
I did that once.
Did you really?
I did.
I've never done it. I've never done it. And I've stood as a grown adult in front of a mirror. And KJ, just do it. Nothing's going to happen. And I'm like, nope, I'm not. Not trying it. No, there are just like some like superstitious things that I can't do, which is weird, because most stuff doesn't freak me out. But
yeah, I do. I get it. Like those things, like because my mom is like such. Like, my mom's terrified of horror movies. Like, she saw the movie Halloween, and she was like, nope, never again am I watching any horror movie ever. Mm-hmm. So, like, then, of course, I become a fraidy cat and don't want to watch horror movies. So, like, the only reason I can watch Halloween is because I watched the making of it.
Okay.
So, like, I was like, oh, so that's, that makes sense. I can watch things that are scary if I can see how they're made, because then I can see all the faults in it. I'm like, okay. So this is that, and this is that, and that's a different person in the costume, and that's a different person in the costume. Like, I can do stuff like that.
That's a good idea. That's a good way to kind of desensitize yourself.
Yeah,
I like that. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. All right. Well, it was good to see you. Thank you
You
for
too.
joining.
I miss you.
I miss you too. We're Patches is home, so I'm gonna go see you.
What's for dinner over there?